and to my channel. Hey, I'm glad you're here. If you're one of my regular subscribers or followers here, and here if you're new, great, welcome. And yeah, all right. So this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons to do bedtime devotions. And I've been kind of starting a little series of, I did 5 reasons to listen to Christian music, and then also did one in between of the 20 songs that really spoke to me in my difficult season in our loss, and the ones that just really helped me kind of in my healing process and getting through loss and grief. So I shared that. And now, so I'm going to continue with my, with these 5 reasons. So this one's 5 reasons to do bedtime devotions, and then with your children, and then I'm going to have 5 reasons to read to the Bible to your children on a daily basis, which is almost the same as devotion, I guess you might say, but it's a little different for us. Okay, so we read the Bible together as a family with all of us. My husband, we all gather in the living room, read the Bible. It's not necessarily a devotion time. It's more like, wherever we're reading, we all get our Bibles, he reads out loud, we all follow along, and then we'll discuss a little bit, maybe during reading, pause and say, especially when verse catches my eye, I'm like, hey, can we talk about this verse a little bit? And then maybe at the end again too, I'm like, hey, there's another, can we talk about this verse? We'll do that, but it's not like a real, I think what you'd call a devotion time. We just read the Bible, and it's very important, very vital, and I'll cover that in another one. So the devotions is a little bit different than that, and I'll explain when I get into it. And then 5 reasons to homeschool will be a video of mine as well. And then I'll think of some more videos that I might be able to do that. 5 reasons to, do such a thing. Or maybe 5 reasons not to do such a thing. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, before I get into this one, it's kind of too bad that the lighting's a little not on my advantage. Today it's shining through the windows in here, and I don't have a curtain. I should do this outside maybe, but I just had a bit of time, so I'm like, I'll just run into the spare room and the green sheet and do this video. So yeah, we'll get into it, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, my number 1 reason, I guess I have to say, is to be reading something good into our children and instilling the good values and character. Just shorten that down. I'm not sure how I'll, but just, to be instilling into them the values of God and the things of God every day, that what He had taught, gave us command to do so. I want to read, to kind of lay a foundation for that, I want to read in Deuteronomy chapter 6 of what we're commanded as parents to do. So it's, just following, that command that He instructed us, our role as parents, right? It's part of our role and our duty in the home as being a parent and being a mother. To our children. So in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting verse 4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk with them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. Thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on the gates. So it's just instructing us as parents just to be teaching our children the ways of God and the things of God, just on an ongoing basis. It's throughout our whole day. It's when we go, throughout our day, when we get up in the morning, when we're sitting at the table, when we're doing our duties in the housework, there's always opportunity to bring God. And that's why the Christian music is important, because you can have the Christian music going. So these things of God pouring in, the truth of God, and the hope and encouragement into our homes when we're going about doing our duties and stuff. And while we're schooling, we're talking about God. It's in our school curriculum. And so I'll get to that in other ones, maybe the ones of 5 reasons of homeschooling. But so it's like He's just telling, and when you go to bed at night. And so that's why, one of the reasons, that's why it's so important, is because it's part of what He has wanted us to do. And it's establishing a healthy habit for life, for the children too, to be taking that time and putting something good into them. So that's the number 1 reason, is that we're doing what God has commanded us to do. Because if we're not, putting in the things of God that's how they grow in him, and that's how they start by building that relationship, and we're teaching them values, which we'll get into the next ones. So for number 2 is to have a relationship with them, to connect with them. So for me, so how this looks like the devotions. Okay, so we have our family reading time. If they haven't had their bedtime snack, a little dessert, if we haven't had that at that point, they will do that, and they will go brush their teeth and get ready for bed and go to their bed. So the girls, I usually do theirs first, and then I do the little boys, so they have a bit more extra time. And it depends on what time a husband will read. Sometimes it's later where it is just processed, ready to get, like I said, the bedtime snack, go brush your teeth, get in your bed. Other times he has to read earlier so he can go to bed earlier to get up early to go to his work. So all depends. Okay, so it's after that we go in the rooms, and I always start with the girls. Their ages right now is 14. She's turned 12, and then my 5-year-old is usually in there with us too, but not necessarily, because she just kind of enjoys being there. But maybe this is not so much for her age, but she loves being there with us because it's the girls' time having their devotion, and so then it's building connect that relationship and getting to connect with them. So we'll read whatever I'm reading at the time. There are devotion. There's so many good books that you can get for that. And I was thinking I might, recommend some, but on the other hand, I know not everyone might think, just because I feel it's been good for us, and then it might not be for someone else. Like a certain author can get, and somebody think, oh no, they've heard different things about it. They don't think, they wouldn't want it. So I maybe won't recommend certain books, but there's just so many out there. If you start looking ones you can share with your girls, and for girl time, I'll talk about for the boys. So when I do the boys, then we have different books for the boys. And so, yeah, it's just that, so connecting. So I guess this one, number 2, is just to having that relationship and connecting time with them. And I think, so they look forward to it. Of course, I look forward to it. And really that is pretty much what my number 4 is going to be about, but I was going to get a little more in depth. Coming up with my 5 reasons, it was kind of like, what is so some of these are a little bit similar, but so we'll talk about that some more. Different. Number 3, I had down to pray together. So a reason to devotions is to pray together. So once we do our devotion time in that book and stuff, and I talk about it, and then we will have time to pray. And so we'll usually pray around that thing that the devotion was about. So whatever it was centered on, we'll kind of pray about that and how we can implement that into our lives. And I pray, especially with the girls, because they're a bit older, then we really, I like to expound on that and really, just pray on how can we, implement that, and how are we going to, Lord, help us to apply that to our lives, and just to be able to go a bit deeper. And then, so we have the time of praying about what might be on their mind, things that are going on, concerns, maybe in the world, and things that we'll take that time to pray for different people. We will pray together for different things, and it's teaching them how to pray, and what to kind of pray about. I mean, that's why it's a good thing, because to have that time, if you don't have other times that you really pray together with them, it's teaching them how you pray, which there's no guideline of how you pray. You come before him, as I always explain to the girls, and you just pray whatever's on your heart. If you don't know how to pray, what to pray about, tell him I don't know what to pray about. I mean, God speaks to you when you're quiet and come still before him. You may come to him thinking, okay, I don't know what to pray about. And you just, he puts things in your mind. Just start praising him. Sometimes we just open prayer with praise you, for who you are, God, our great, great mighty God, our strong tower, our refuge, our protector, our provider, our physician. And we just praise him for who he is, and can just go from there. And then if you're praying about the things that you read in your devotion, but always let the girls know that, if when their own private time, I said our time together should not replace your own time to pray. So once I get out of here, when you go off to sleep, just kind of pray yourself to sleep. Have good thoughts going through your mind. Just praise him, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for this day. And as where was I going? But just to make sure they have their own personal prayer time. So teaching them in that time when they're having their own personal prayer time, if you don't know what to pray about, just tell them you don't know what to pray about. And if, and things that happen during the day, pray about those things and just make sure that you're talking to him like you would talk to a friend. So that's why, yeah, the prayer time. So part of the devotion is the prayer time, and it's just so important because it's establishing a good habit and knowing how to talk to God. Just really to be able to be comfortable with praying like that, and yeah, just really knowing how, even if we don't know what to say, God hears us. Always tell him that, God hears us before we even say a word. That's what's amazing about prayer. Just that, and then we're always in his presence. I think the Lord, when we say thank you that we're here in your presence now, and before you were praying, taking that time to purposely set aside for prayer, but we know that we're in his presence all day long, right? And I always remind the girls of that. So yeah, some just good, powerful stuff when you have that time to pray together. And number 4 reason is to spend quality time together with them. And so we get, like I mentioned in number 2, it was just having quality time with them and connecting with them, and then talking about things that we wouldn't maybe normally get to talk about, and addressing things that we wouldn't normally get to talk about, like especially when there's attitudes during the day, and then we're having this devotion, and a lot of the time the devotions are just right on target to what we've just experienced. I'm like, oh, look at this. Didn't we deal with this today? And they're like, they knew who I'm talking about. But I try not to single them out because they don't, that hurts, right? I mean, it's a time to address an issue, and as the parents and mothers, we so important. You can't let something really slide, right? If there was an issue that somebody really acted out of place and was, we need to address it, but I try to do it in a way that just saying, like, look, for all of us, we need to use self-control, not just to, something doesn't go our way, like go crazy because we didn't get what we wanted and do, but make sure, so I say it in that way, but it was so neat. A lot of times the issues we had during the day, we get to address those then. I get to address those with them personally and take time to pray with them. And then we'll pray with that issue, and I talk to them in a nice way. It's a lot better than during the, time when something's happening, right? We don't always respond maybe in a more quiet way. Nicer, take the time, but then when both people are calmed down, and time has passed, the child is able to see the way they behaved was not nice. They're able to see at the point when you're in the middle of it, and child, you're trying to make sense. It seems like there's like, no, because I don't like this, and the school's going wrong. I don't even want to do it anyway, whatever. And it's hard for them to think rationally, but later in the evening, they can. It seems works that way for me. And so, yeah, we talk about things we maybe wouldn't always be able to talk about. And so we're in the middle of a devotion, and then they'll bring something to mind, or something that, with the girls, just address things that they wouldn't normally maybe just come out. But depending on what the nature of the devotion, I mean, we have devotions that cover a variety of things that girls, are going through, and things, especially hitting teenhood and all of that. So there's just so many things. So important, moms, with your girls, and especially with the boys too. But with the girls, when they're seeing, this is a time to find these good books that are going to help your girl as she's growing to address things that she's going to be going through, and just the regular things as girlhood, and issues that she needs to she's dealing with, especially those that are on social media, because that's a big thing now. Our girls are not, right? So then, but there's books that are addressing for girls that are, have to deal with all of that out there. And just such good stuff. So important. So that's one of the things that I really, really enjoy for our devotion time. And I think before I go to my last one, and same, then the boys, they're younger, so we maybe don't got as bigger issues right now to deal with, but it'll be the same thing. I'll want books that are really directed to things they might be going through, things they can deal with, and things I can talk to them about, and we can just be open so they can kind of know they can talk to me about these things, because we're covering these things, and feel free to communicate. Sometimes I hear there's a lack of communication, and you maybe they don't know how to talk to you about certain issues that are a little deep, or a little, feel like, they can't talk to their parent about that. But I want them to feel that they can. If we have the books that are covering all these things, then they can feel more free to be able to talk to me about it, and we can talk about it and sort it out, and help them to know how they should feel, or what is the good way to think on it, or what is the Christian way versus, the world sees things this way. But how does God see it and how does God want us to feel and stand and think on it. So, yeah, just so many good things that way. Okay, my last one. Number 5 reason, fifth reason to do bedtime devotions is fills time with something good. So just taking that time against, kind of what I've been saying, taking some time for something good that could have been otherwise maybe used in a way that was less productive or in a negative way, because otherwise it just happens that way. If you're not filling your time with something, it's going to be used for something else, that or watching something that is not, this is much better having the devotion time that I explained, and how much we are learning and getting from that. And then it's teaching them things like I read in Deuteronomy 6, teaching them things that God has wanted us to teach them. And the verse in Proverbs 22:6, it says to train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. So you're building, establishing for life. When you're these things that I'm getting opportunities to talk to the children, and then building good communication lines. I feel like then it is. We're just setting them up for life, and so it's filling our time with the good, the good things of God instead of something else that would be negative, and they help them to have good thoughts and things before they go to bed, and then it gives us things to pray about, like what God was saying. Especially with the boys, we've been covering some devotions on men and women of history. Christian men and women that was just very strong, courageous for God, and just really put themselves out there on the line, basically, denying themselves of things that, to go out and be like the missionaries, the things they went into places that wasn't nice. They could have stayed home in their comfort zones, but they had that passion burning in their hearts. They needed to go spread the gospel to different nations, China, India, wherever, different places that was not comfortable for them way back, endured great hardships and for the gospel's sake. And so when we cover that, when we pray about that, and telling them, look at these men and women of courage. And that's what I want for you guys to be, men and women of courage, to grow, to be so passionate for God that you're willing to put yourselves out there and do a hardness for the sake of the gospel, for the love of God, and for the love of fellow man. So that's what it's training them, to be able to. We've read so many missionary stories over the years, not so much just in the devotional time I'm doing now, but we at a time were reading missionary stories together. So before we're reading the Bible in the evenings with we're reading those instead. So that's good as a family, my husband, all of us together. And then now we're reading straight out of the Bible. And then I'm doing the devotions where we're covering about different missionaries and things. But it was a series, Christian Heroes and Then and Now. I think it was a volume of like 20 some books of, and about older time missionaries, and so they're just so good. All right, well, I think I summed that up. I don't want to be going over and over the same things again and again. So yeah, that was my 5 reasons to do bedtime devotions, and we could probably come up with a whole lot more reasons, because that time is priceless. It's going to take you some time to do that. It's going to take more time into your bedtime, nighttime schedule. But I tell you, it is worth it so much. I can't even tell you. It's just that priceless time, even though it's going to take time to do that. Time you're all said and done, worked your way through this time of reading to them. I try not to keep it too long. I just, read a few pages out of there, and then I'll talk about it, and then we do the prayer time. But I've done the girls and I've done the boys, and interruptions with the little ones in between, then it involves more time. But like I said, it is worth it, and then some. So I hope you've found this encouraging, and please stay tuned for more. My next video I want to do on 5 reasons to read the Bible together as a family on a daily basis. I was doing like in the morning with them too, but they just kind of cover that in their school. There's Bible stuff in their school, so I haven't been just taking the Bible out and reading, but sometimes if there's a certain verse in my mind, I want to share that with them, and we'll do that, or or something. But all right, I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more.